All right, let's get right into it. When you look at a fashion illustration, what do you really see? I mean, it's way more than just a sketch of a dress, right? It's pure attitude, it's texture, it's a whole story told with just lines and color. So today, we're going to unlock the toolkit of the fashion illustrator and see just how they turn a simple piece of clothing into a genuine work of art. And this quote is the perfect place to start. Fashion illustrator Astrid Voss just nails a key idea right here. This isn't about making a pretty picture. It's about capturing a personality. The whole point is to be edgy and dangerous, to create this depth that makes you stop and look again. It's all about the character wearing the clothes, not just the clothes themselves.
So, where does that character, that edgy feeling, even come from? Well, every single great illustration starts with a little spark of inspiration. Let's dig into where these artists find that creative fuel.
This is such a fascinating way to look at it. You know, for Astrid Voss, fashion itself is the main inspiration. She sees it as the exact opposite of superficial. It's like art. It's a mirror reflecting society, where we've been and where we're going. So the inspiration comes from just tapping into that incredible, dynamic energy that fashion puts out into the world. And you can find that energy in so many places. For an artist like Blair Breitenstein, maybe it's flipping through the glossy pages of a magazine or seeing a classic photo of a style icon like Brigitte Bardot. For others, it's about feeling the pulse of what's happening in culture or that absolutely electric atmosphere you only get at a live runway show. It's this cool mix of high art, pop culture, and history, all feeding into one single drawing.
Okay, so once an illustrator has that spark, the very first step to bringing it to life is the line. But listen, this is so much more than just tracing an outline. The line is the absolute foundation that communicates everything, from the basic shape to the feel of the fabric.
And that kind of brings up a great question, right? Let's say you're drawing a fuzzy terry cloth skirt versus a really crisp, smooth one. How in the world do you make the viewer feel that difference? In a 2D sketch, where does that texture actually live? And boom, here's the answer. This is such a fantastic insight. According to fashion educator Laura Volpin-Testa, it's all in the contour, the edges. We always think we need to shade the surface of the fabric, but the real secret, the thing almost everyone misses, is how the outline of the garment behaves. Is it sharp? Is it soft? Is it kind of bumpy? That's where the story of the texture is truly told. This technique actually has a name. It's called contour drawing. It's a specific practice where the artist puts all their focus just on the edges and outlines of an object. So you're not even worrying about light and shadow yet. You are purely 100% focused on the path your eye takes along the borders of a shape. And artists use these really specific exercises to get good at this. There's pure contour, which is wild. You train your eye by never looking at the paper you're drawing on. Then there's continuous line drawing, which forces you to find connections across the whole shape in one single unbroken stroke. And finally, regular contour, where you can look at your paper, but you're intensely focused on making every single line varied and meaningful.
And it's not just about where the line goes, but what the line itself looks like. This is something called line quality. A single, boring, unvarying line can look totally flat and honestly kind of dead. But by changing the pressure, making some parts thick and dark and others light and thin, an artist can literally create dimension, tell the viewer what's important, and just breathe movement into the whole drawing.
So, we've got our inspiration, and we get the power of the line. Now let's get practical. Let's talk about the actual tools illustrators use to add color and texture and really bring those foundational drawings to life. Okay, so you've got two main players in the game here, markers and paint, and they offer completely different creative experiences. Markers are super quick, they're convenient, and they create these really clean, flat areas of color. But, as Laura Volpin-Testa points out, they can be smelly and they dry up. Paint, on the other hand, is rich, it's organic, and you can customize the color forever. It lets you create these beautiful, unique textures, especially when you use the right kind of paper. Now, if you do decide to go the marker route, here are some absolutely crucial pro tips. First, use proper marker paper. It's designed to stop the ink from bleeding through, and it actually helps your markers last longer. And this is a big one. You have to know your inks. Water-soluble inks, like the ones in Tombow markers, will totally run and smudge if you try to paint over them. But waterproof inks, like you'd find in Pitt pens, will stay perfectly crisp and clean.
But what if you could get the best of both worlds? What if you could actually use those water-soluble inks to your advantage? Well, this brings us to a really beautiful technique called the watercolor wash.
And this technique is so much simpler than it sounds. You just start by drawing your lines with a water-soluble marker.
Then, you take a brush with some clean water on it and you just gently go over those lines. And you just watch. The marker ink dissolves and spreads out, and it transforms your sharp drawing into this soft, sheer wash of color. It's an amazing way to add tone and mood in an instant.
And this all leads to a philosophy that a ton of top illustrators like Blair Breitenstein live by. Don't box yourself in with just one tool. The real magic happens when you combine mediums. Using a waterproof pen for your main lines, adding a watercolor wash for some tone, and then maybe even adding a touch of pastel for texture. That's what creates those unexpected, tangible results that make a piece truly special. All right, we've covered inspiration, technique, and tools, but the final piece of this whole puzzle, well, it's the most personal one. It's all about developing your own artistic voice. It's about moving past the how and really embracing the why. I just think this is such a cool insight from Blair Breitenstein. Her reason for loving watercolors isn't because she can control them perfectly. It's because she can't. She totally embraces their fluidity, their unpredictability. That little touch of unknown is a core part of her style. It's a great reminder that sometimes the most beautiful results happen when you just let go and allow the medium to have a say in the final product.
Oh, I love this piece of advice from Astrid Voss. She's talking about buying art, but I think it applies perfectly to creating it too. Don't draw something because you think it's going to be popular or technically perfect. Create it because your heart wants to. Trust that creative instinct. Art, whether you're looking at it or making it, is supposed to make your soul happy.
So that's the final thought I really want to leave you with. After all the talk about techniques and tools, it all comes down to this one simple idea. Whether an artist or just someone who loves art, what's your gut telling you? What will you create, or what will you seek out simply because your heart wants it?